Hello and welcome back to episode 11 of the online MotoGP series. Today we'll have another few races. First up, Maverick Vinales at Sachsenring P5, which is better than he did here. This year he came last. Yeah, pretty poor weekend that weekend, but all the drama has happened Thursday of this weekend where he has been suspended by Yamaha, but we'll get into that in a second. Let's just negotiate turn 1. 5 red lights. He did a burnout. Marquez, his collisions off. I didn't look at the lobby before I joined, so I don't know. Oh, collisions are off. Yay, this is going to make this so much easier for me. Anyway, as I was saying, Maverick Vinales, as I take the lead, has been suspended by Yamaha on suspicion of irregular operation of the motorcycle, which is, in layman's terms, is he was trying to blow the thing up. He was riding down into turn 1 on the third last lap, second last lap, the penultimate one, and the last lap in 5th gear on the straight, on the limiter. And there was onboards of him coming into the last sector, where in Austrian race 1 for the Styrian Grand Prix, I think it was this way around this year, that he was on approach to the penultimate corner, and he kind of backshifts about 3 gears, then revs it out onto the limiter and holds there for about 2.5 seconds, then comes into the pits, clutch in, bounces off the limiter again, then comes in, starts shaking his head as he starts to approach his pit, does the exact same thing again, bouncing it off the limiter for a good couple of seconds. So Maverick has been a naughty boy. A lot of people have lost a lot of respect for him. Toby Moody, a very popular motor journalist, I suppose, a commentator for years for Eurosport, has a very good point that his pole position bonus would be worth more than a year's salary to the people that build the bikes he rides. And when you put it into perspective like that, that's crazy to think of it. If he got pole position, the bonus he'd get for just getting on pole position is more than what people who build the Yamahas and develop them, more than their yearly salary. And he's apologised today. Today is Saturday. This probably will go out Sunday. And he's apologised and said that it was a lack. He got frustrated and nervous or something like that on the bike, and he took his emotions out, which is fair. We've all done it. But on a $60 million project, that's how much it's worth to Yamaha in GP. Definitely not the right way to go about it, trying to blow an engine up because he got a little annoyed that I'll put it into context. What happened was he's had the whole breakup this year. The whole year has gone tits up big time for him, and he's had the split with Yamaha after Assen. He's basically signed for Aprilia. It's not been announced publicly yet, but everyone believes it's going to happen soon. And he's now had poor results with Yamaha since the breakup, and there's rumours will he even come back after this. Will Yamaha have him back? But in the Styrian Grand Prix, was red flagged after an opening lap clash between, so Danny Pedrosa took the front on exit of turn 3, and poor Lorenzo Salvadori collected his stricken bike and broke his ankle. The KTM, I think, burst the fuel line, went up in flames, fuel everywhere. The Aprilia Cotton Flyer, big drama, red flag. Maverick was after getting a great start in that race, and had a good run and was doing well. It looked like he was on for a podium at a track that is renowned for being poor for Yamaha, and got red flagged. Second start, he stalled it on the grid, forced him into pit lane, and once again he was riding around in last behind Cal Crutchlow, who's a standing rider on a year-old Yamaha, so a year-old version of what Maverick was riding. Couldn't pass him, and eventually got pissed off and took the hands out on the bike. So an easy race here for me. I dominated, unlike Maverick has done. I'm afraid that it's probably not, you're never going to see this again, Maverick winning on a Yamaha, but it was fun while it lasted. Race 1 was a breeze. So here we are for race 2. We are at Jerez de la Frontera. We are, of course, Jorge Martin. How could we overlook this young man winning his first MotoGP race? And he's also put it on pole position again for the second time in 2 weeks, again at this is the Austria round now, I suppose. I'm actually going to leave everyone past And see, can we fight back through? So go! Because I was way too quick in the last race, and if collisions are still off, I will blast them all again, I reckon. But anyway, rode absolutely phenomenally, and there's loads of reports coming out about him, how like that when he was 12 his family had no money and he almost like had to give up the sport. And a bit like Jack Miller, like there's so many riders that like their family gave up everything for them, and you hear about them. I always think when I hear stories like that, as I'm in hot, oh I bottled it, oh my god. As I was saying, when I hear stories like that, I did a biker game actually. I ran off it, I think it's Cito Pond's corner, don't know the exact name, but anyway, shout out to biker gaming. As I was saying, I always think you actually hear that story a lot of riders, their families giving everything to move to Europe, they did this, that and the other, and they give up everything. They lived on the road for 3 years while he was riding on mini bikes, whatever. You never hear stories of people who did it and the rider didn't make it, and that's what scares me most, is that there's people out there who did that and maybe injury, or they just didn't get the opportunity, and you never hear about that. People giving up their whole lives for their sons or daughters to go racing, and maybe it never works out, which is a frightening aspect I think about a lot when I hear these stories. Nonetheless, we'll think of the positive today for Jorge Martin. He has been a brilliant breath of fresh air for the class. He's come in as a rookie on the Pramac Ducati. We obviously know his aspirations as a Moto3 world champion in the Gresini team back in 2017, I think it was 2018, 2017, good few years back now. But he's into GP now, and for years people touted him as another MotoGP world champion, and he does look the part already. I reckon maybe you think the likes of Jack Miller now in the factory team, and you think the roar of talent Ducati have in their wings, with Zarco second in the championship, he's yet to win, but then you have Pecco in the factory team, which is their golden boy, their Italian golden boy, their golden goose you could say. And then they have this young man here, Jorge Martin, who is young Spanish, a young Martinator as he calls himself. He's ridiculously quick, but yeah, you can imagine in maybe 2 years time you could see him in a full red Bologna rocket of the factory team. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Jack Miller be replaced in coming years by this man. Now, I am a huge Jack Miller fan. I hope that he wins more races and gets more podiums and hopefully stays with the team. I do believe that Jorge Martin though will be really pushing for that seat as soon as he's already winning races. He's won racing in his first season. He's already had 3 pole positions in his only has 7 races. I think he's done obviously that big axe incident in Portugal where he had an off throttle high side in first thing FP3 on a Saturday morning, and that put him out for a good few rounds. So he had big injury. That's one of his small aspects of his career. He does seem to have brittle bones. He does injure himself a lot when crashing. But we're actually in a bit of a battle here, so I'm going to shut up about Jorge Martin. I'm going to try and win this one. So of course the collisions are still off. These guys seem like they're actually not too bad, so maybe I gave them too much of a break at the start. Should have been track limits on because it cut the corner massively, but anyway, that's the Ducati done. See now, can we get the Repsol Honda rider up ahead? Cito Pond's corner is the corner I went off at, but unlike Biker Gaming, I look like I'm going to still win this race. Coming down now into the old Drysack corner, now formerly known as Danny Pedrosa corner. And how great was it to see Danny Pedrosa back on a MotoGP bike last weekend. The small Italian coming back for one race only, just for testing purposes, and didn't do too badly at all, a lad. Now we're into the lead. The Honda's going to fight back. We're going to square the corner off. I hold the lead, so we'll see what we can do into the last sector now. He's about matching me, so it's not over and done with yet. He can still win this if I make mistakes. We got a great exit there onto the car. That ruined my run, but that should still be enough. Can't see him getting back past me now unless he does track extend, but no, he's lost a big margin there, so we are going to come home. Are we? No. Yeah, oh, he came in hot as well. So we do end up winning the second race. So that's 2 from 2. We didn't bottle like Biker, but anyway, race 2, another win. Race 3, the final race, and it actually looks like quite an empty lobby. We are last on the grid. As Ika Lacona, another story coming out of last weekend, in the middle of FP4, this man found out he had lost his job for the following season, along with Danilo Petrucci, which is terrible form from, no, it's not down to Tech 3, it's down more to KTM, and I think what happened was someone got wind of it, and they were kind of threatening to leak it, and the KTM kind of had to just pull the plug and kind of not have it leaked. Basically just kind of be the ones to tell everyone instead of having it leaked in the press, because I think they would rather not come out that it was leaked and have it come out genuinely that they have released them. Raul Fernandez has been signed. Obviously Remy Gardner signed earlier this year. The Foy's at the front here getting escalated, so I'm just going to just catch back up to him. I was kind of just taking Handy's opening lap, haven't done this track in a while, and I don't want to be just driving around in circles on my own. I'd like to have some racing, a bit like the end of Herret. Oh, front end is on the bounce there. But as I was saying, Raul Fernandez was confirmed as a rider in the Red Bull, is it Tech 3 Red Bull KTM, I think they call it. I don't know what, or it's not Red Bull, is it? It's just Tech 3 KTM, I can't remember the exact name of the team. Tech 3 KTM we're going to go with, because that's what they were known as for years. I don't know if Red Bull is our prime sponsor anymore. But we're not. Wutan there has gone way off. But Hervé Poncharal, who is the team boss of Tech 3, was very unhappy with the announcement for KTM mid-session. Didn't even have time to sit down with Iker Lecuona or Danilo Petrucci to let them know that they wouldn't be kept on. Now KTM have offered Danilo a fully factory supported ride in the Dakar, with an idea of kind of going next year as a test year and then going at it hard for 2023. Now he has suggested that he'd like to do it as the other Ducati, the Pramac, has crashed out. I'm just going to follow this Wukong guy now. But yeah, it's, and Iker Lecuona says he doesn't want to go back. He's only 21 years of age, and this is a big problem in this class of riders coming up slightly early. And yeah, it looks like it could be the end of the GP career at the age of 21, which most riders only get the opportunity at this age, which is quite unfortunate. He says he doesn't want to go back to Moto2, which is understandable. A lot of riders don't like that class. But he said he doesn't want to go back riding a Moto2 bike. So maybe we could lose him to World Superbikes. Would he get an offer from a Petronas Yamaha? You never know really what will happen in the sport of MotoGP. But it's quite disappointing, because he's a very talented young man. As we take the lead, he runs wide, and that should be enough to win it. A lap and a half remaining, but he is quite a talented rider, and it's a shame it just hasn't worked out. He hasn't been particularly quick. But we're in hot. Oh, I just managed to keep on track. Where's the Ducati? Oh, he's binned it. I was going to wait for him, but sure, he's out to crash him, and he's left. So it's going to be a pretty dull last lap for me. I have a big lead of about 5 seconds. But then there's another weird case, which is Raul Fernandez coming up from Moto3 last year into Moto2. I got terribly wrong. And this year he has said he wanted to stay in Moto2 before the summer break. And as soon as they come back from the summer break, it's announced that he's moving up to the MotoGP class, even though he has said himself in the interviews he wanted to stay in Moto2 for another year. So looks like he kind of got forced into taking contract. Now he's contracted directly to KTM. He has been put in the Tech 3 team, as I said before, but he says himself he doesn't think he'll be suited to this RC16 that I'm riding currently. He reckons that he's much more suited to a Yamaha high corner speed and not to a V4 that will take a bit more point and squirt riding style. So there's so much going on at the moment in the paddock that I actually probably have to do a 4th race in this episode just to cover it all. And never mind talking about any of the racing that I'm doing on screen, all about just what's happening in the real life paddock at the moment. So he signed for 2 years for KTM, and he's already saying things like that he doesn't think the bike will suit him, he doesn't think he'll go well on it, and I think he tried to get a clause in his contract at the end of 2 years that he isn't happy that he can go, because he wants to go, by the sounds of it, to Yamaha, and I think Yamaha approached him, but KTM kind of put a big money wall in front of them and kind of stopped that in their tracks. So maybe in 2024 we could see maybe Raul Fernandez on an M1 Yamaha, which I know it's a long way down the line, but you never know what could happen in the sport of GP. So yeah, there's so much going on at the moment in silly season. And another one I haven't even mentioned is Petronas is pulling out of MotoGP altogether. They are completely dropping back out of the sport due to financial reasons and other things. I'll cover that more in the next race, but that's been race 3, another victory. I might actually look for a new lobby because this one's getting a bit dull. So unfortunately that was the only lobby at the moment, so I'm going to have to stick with it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a 10-second head start and see what I can do. But anyway, back to the Petronas. They are pulling out of MotoGP. They'll have a MotoGP team next year, but they are completely getting rid of the Moto2 and Moto3 team. Now it's unsure yet of what will happen in the actual teams, so what will become of the Moto2 team, the Moto3 team. But it is rumoured that Darren Binder, the younger of the Binders, will move directly from Moto3 all the way to MotoGP to go on to a second tier M1 Yamaha by the sounds of it. Maybe being partnered by Jake Dixon, who's in the second rider at the Moto2 team. So everything's up in the air at the moment. Just everyone's crashing up in here. I should be able to catch them back up, possibly, provided I don't crash myself. But yeah, that is massive for the sport. It would be very interesting to see who is the lead sponsor for Yamaha's second team now that Petronas are pulling out as their main sponsor. And they've cited financial reasons, COVID, and a few other underlining issues that they wanted. And they do have a history, unfortunately, of pulling out on things that are pretty quickly. The Foggy and Petronas bike that they went into Formula 1 trying to make a team. The only one they really had success with is sponsoring Mercedes in Formula 1. They've had issues in every other aspect, and they've actually had a successful MotoGP team and Moto3, and they've actually been quite successful. This year has been terrible in all classes, with John McPhee and Darren Binder having terrible luck. Rossi, unfortunately, never getting into a stride. Morbidelli been constantly injured. Dixon starting the season with a fused wrist, and Xavi Vierge slightly underperforming also. That's a crash. And yeah, so we could see a young Darren Binder on a MotoGP bike. I don't see it happening. Well, that's a lie. I do see it happening. I don't think it's the right decision. I think that there's better riders. I'd give the right to Iko Lacona over I'd give it to Darren Binder. Iko Lacona has experience in the class with MotoGP equipment. He knows the tyres, he knows how a MotoGP team is run. Whereas Darren Binder will be coming up for the first time, not knowing the tyres, not knowing how a GP team is run, not knowing anything like that. So it would be a bigger learning curve for him, especially coming from a single cylinder 250 engine up to a 4-cylinder 1000cc MotoGP bike that wants to pull your arms off in every corner. So it will be very interesting to see. Obviously we know Jack Miller did it back in 2014. He went straight onto a Honda and wasn't ideal. He didn't do great on it, never did well with a Honda really. Obviously he won the race in 2016 in Assen in such fortunate circumstances. Of course he stayed on it, he did well and all that, but he still was quite fortunate to win that one. But anyway, he did obviously then get his move to Pramac and has progressed into a top MotoGP rider since, now signing with the GP team, the full factory GP team. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what he'd be like on it. He is quite a tall young fella, so I do see him not struggling there. It's just whether he'll be able to ride or not. There's a crash ahead, I think. Is it one of the leaders? Can't see, so I think P3 is the best we want to get here. Yeah, 2.3. I pulled in half 5 seconds over 2 laps, so I have managed to pull the gap right down, but I'm not going to have enough to win. I'm in hot air, pushing the front right to its limits. But yeah, so it's been pretty action-packed episode here for news. Not much happening on screen. That pretty there's wide. We're not going to be close enough to get close to them. We are pulling them in at a serious rate of knots. If I had maybe another lap or two, if it was a 5-lap race, I reckon I'd have the two of them. But anyway, at least I got to push in this race because I didn't push in any other races. He's wide there. Could we even still get second? I'd say not. Unless he really gets this wrong. He has, but we're not going to get the drive out of the last corner and catch him. It's going to be P3. Good little race to finish it off. We get the fastest lap again. So that has been like a news rundown of what's been going on in the last few weeks of the GP paddock. Yeah, a lot of unknowns at the moment. Where will Maverick end up? Will he get will he be on one of these bikes next year? Will he replace this man Salvadori? Will Darren Binder end up in GP directly from Moto3? Yeah, there's so many questions, not many answers yet, so we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe if you would like to see more videos like this, and I shall see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.